Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Carvas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about gamification and game-based learning. There are two approach and teaching methods. So today we will discuss the underlying principles, their benefits, and understanding how these methodologies can reshape educational landscape. Along with that, we will discuss how gamification can transform the traditional lesson plans into engaging quests where students can unlock achievements, collaboration with peers, and tackle challenges with enthusiasm. We'll explore the immersive world of game-based learning, where students step into virtual environments, solving problem, making decision, and applying knowledge in interactive and captivating scenarios. So, indeed, very interesting topic, and I'm sure you will learn a lot from this session because we have an expert with us in today's session. So stay tuned because in amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Kalwas for arranging such enlightened sessions, for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Kalwas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendations, and suggestions, which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually, as well as to contribute to the world in a positive way. As our slogan is "Come, learn, and share knowledge." So today we have today we have a amazing person as guest. She is a multi-talented person with a great qualities, having wonderful experience in academia and industry, international known and recognized personality. The great human being, she is always ready to support and share her knowledge on different platforms. So let me introduce her formally. She is from Italy and she has been teaching mathematics in high school for 28 years. After graduating in 1994, she is interested in different and various projects, including the e-twinning projects that allow twinning between the different European schools. She is a IIU country director Italy and IIU WEC country director Italy as well. She is the NIPER certified educator, verified educator on Kahoot Academy, as well as in the Ed, a puzzle coach and trainer and a Wicklet community leader. Book creator, verified author, she works a lot with the coding and gamification. She is an international speaker about the education, a lot of different topics. She is specializing in the sustainable development goals of the 2030 agenda, in particular goal 4, which is related to the quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all. Along with that, she spoke in different international conferences. Moreover, she is a global community leader for Global Education Network, brand ambassador Italy for All Lives Do Exist, Global Peace Movement, advisory of the Glory Fortune Future Foundation, the country director for DIAS and the Big Brains. She write text for math videos for www.edu boom at the rate of uh, Italy. She writes for a website about great mathematicians and maths, the anecdotes. She continually update on new technologies, the teaching methodologies, and digital tools to be used to promote learning. Last but not the least, she is a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, professional, and above everything, a great human being. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Professor Melissa Esposito. Welcome to the Calvas platform, and thank you very much once again, dear Prof.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very honored for you're inviting me in this important session about game-based learning and gamification. They are
Thank
my
you.
favorite teaching methods. So I want to speak you
Wonderful.
about this. Can I share my screen?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure, please. Over to
let's
you, Prof.
begin.
Thank you very much.
So, thanks. I want to speak you again the power of the game So gamification and game-based learning. They are my favorite teaching methods. So let's begin with an interesting quote said by a famous poet. The child who does not play is not a child, but the adult who does not play has lost his chance for joy forever. And the man who said this important quote was Pablo Neruda. Let's continue. I teach mathematics in high school, and this discipline is often difficult and boring for most students. Used only with the solving algebra or geometry exercises, it can be very dry, and for this reason, I've been looking for new methodologies that make my lesson more interesting and captivating for years. I tried to apply the flipped classroom, the chunked lesson, and then I landed on gamification and game-based learning, which continues to give me satisfaction, and my students are more passionate about the study of mathematics. Since 2010, gamification has become a teaching methodology, how to apply the dynamics of video games to stimulate learning at schools. All the advantages, practical examples, and dark sides of the constructivist innovation model. Since 2010, gamification has become, in addition to being a commonly used word, a teaching methodology fully accepted in classrooms all over the world. Gamification is the use of elements of game design in non-playful contexts, such as education, marketing, health, corporate training, politics, social credit system, tourism, and much more. Studies show that translating educational, promotion, or propaganda goals throughout exciting challenges modeled on video games, then throughout the wording of progress badges and visibility of performance graphs satisfies the needs for competence and increases for the perceiving significance of the task. Why does everyone like playing? It is a part of human nature. In childhood, we approach the world by playing. We know it and experience it throughout play. It turns out life. Then it is fun and engaging, like when we read a book. The game distracts us from contingencies and problems, leading us to be completely involved and concentrated in a pleasant and often total body activity. Play, especially when it comes to movement, helps us our brain to produce endorphins, which make us feel good. It is exciting. While we play, a range of emotions quickly passed throughout us, have overwhelmed us, moving us from desire to fulfillment, from calm to agitation, from joy to disappointment, from anger to euphoria. The game is a storm of emotions, experienced in the lightness of being aware that they remain limited to the space time of the game. It is a social. You play very often with someone or against someone. The game connects us. Even if with ourselves, we play alone. It is a strategy, reasoning, creativity. It leads us to create patterns, predict reactions. When we are involved in a game, are experiencing the pleasure of arriving at the understanding of a new system. These are just stimulating reasons why play is an essential part of life, to which someone should never stray too far to continue personal well being and learning. But what does define a game? By play in ethology, psychology, and other behavioral sciences, we mean an entertaining, voluntary, and intrinsically motivated activity, mostly fun, performed by adults, children, or animals for recreational purposes. The game has a stated goal, a clear and well defined purpose. It must have certain rules within which all players can move consciously. Breaking the rules of the game always implies equally defined and declared consequences. It takes place in a limited time, and whether it is established or consequence the achievement of the goal, the game always happens in a relatively short times. It involves a single or group competition, and in the case of team games, The competition is combined with cooperation, an activity that involves collaboration, mediation, agreement, sacrifice, generosity, a service. It is entertainment, recreation, and therefore enjoyable. Gamification has the word game at its heart. The question may arise, why should a methodology with absolutely serious purposes to gaming? At first answer lies the power that the game has over us. It gives a boost to change. Therefore, initially, it is necessary to look at the world of the game and above all to understand some of its key features, which will come in hand later on. In fact, understanding the game construct helps us to focus on the elements of which it is composed. The toolbox of those who make gamification is made up of these, the knowledge and tools that are used to design a game. What are the origins of the game? The game units us all, from children to adults, up to the third age. The game for the human being represents a serious matter of just think of its history. The origins of the game, are, as evidenced by the archaeological findings, are lost in the darkness of time until they coincide with the very appearance of man or art. The presence of some playing instruments found in Swiss territory probably dates back to the Mesolithic period. The playing instruments, the speeches in finds, mosaics, frescoes are incredibly similar to the current ones, such as balls, ropes, spinning tops, skittles, dolls, and even the game of chess. In Mesopotamia, in the city of Ur, a chessboard dating back to 2500 before Christ was unearthed. The instinct to play is common to all human beings. Scholars agree that play is an innate biological need. But it is not limited to this. It is also an important cultural expression. The child touches, moves, chooses, resumes, manipulates in many different ways without rest. Everything that surrounds him by engaging in the activity that we call play, but which in fact constitutes a work of extraordinary commitment. Jane McGonigal identifies four fundamental components, which, in her opinion, constitute the very essence of the game. She therefore tells us that all games have four defining traits in common: an objective, rules, a feedback system, and the voluntary nature of participation. Play is the original form of our learning. Let's begin with the motivation. No man can find the best way to do something without starting to really want to do it. It is an old Japanese proverb. The study of gamification has grown in recent years. Caponetto, Herb, and Dot in 2014 focused attention on the large number of studies dedicated to gamification between 2011 and 2014, with significant growth from year to year, with a peak recorded in 2013. Bodskut and Durak in 2018 reviewed more than 200 articles about gamification between 2011 and 2016, testifying to the growing interest in this topic, as you can see in this figure that I am showing it. Research has shown that integrating a game-based learning into the classroom can increase the intrinsic motivation of students to learn and improve engagement and learning outcomes. A resume gamified also offers students the ability to get a visualization, immediate progress, and difficulties, encouraging the overcoming and favoring induce improvement and growth. This increased interest in gamification in education, according to Yuang and Soman in 2013, could be partly due to the possibility that the playful dimension offers our students the ability to shy away from sensation or negative emotion that can be felt in real life, overcoming anxieties, looking for instant gratification. Research has shown that integrating game-based learning into the classroom can increase the intrinsic motivation of students to learn and improve engagement and learning outcomes. The best known definition of gamification was formulated by the Turning. Gamification is the use of game elements within non-playful contexts. Are speaking not of a theory but of a methodology, of a tool. Gamification makes something playful which by its nature is not. It is applied to contexts that are not of play. But are you coming? Making gamification also means translating the ideational methods, techniques, and distinctive elements that intend the design of games into the non-play field. Designing is a fundamental aspect. The way of proceeding of those who design games is borrowed to put them at the service of the purpose. According to Karl Klapp, gamification is the use of mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetic of the game and game thinking to engage people, motivate the mechanics, promote learning, and solve problems. In the role of the subject within the gamification experience is active. Yukai Chu, in his analysis of the motivations, noted that almost all games are fun because they leverage a series of drives that push us to perform specifics. To these reasons, he assigned the name of core drive. These are basic impulses that touch our deepest chords and motivate us to behave in a certain way. Studying what distinguishes one type of motivation from the other, the author has created an octagonal pattern in which the core drives are arranged as you can see in this figure, um, uh, which together make up the model. The result is the octalysis, an interpretative framework whose name derives from the syncrasis of the term octagon and analysis. This framework can perform, the author tells us, a double function, a tool for analyzing the basic strategies that makes a game engaging, model for applying these strategies in gamification projects. The octagonal shape bears on each side one of the 8 core drive or basic motifs identified. According to the author, everything we do, and not just in play, is based on one more or more of these fundamental impulses. They are substratum of our behaviors and they activate them. Below is the list of the 8 core drives. Here, therefore, are the forces that motivate human beings within the game and, according to the author, even outside the game. First, epic meaning and calling, the epic sense. Second, development and accomplishment, progress. Third, empowerment of creativity and feedback, self expression. Fourth, ownership and possession. Fifth, social influence and relatedness, relationality. Sixth, scarcity and paucity. And finally, curiosity and loss and the fear of loss. According to this interpretative framework, the core drives located to the left of the octalities, therefore progress, possession, scarcity, and loss are more associated with the logic, calculation, and rationality. They therefore belong to the left hemisphere of our brain, which most presides over the type of functional capacity. On the other hand, to the right of the octalysis, there are epic sense, self-expression, rationality, and unpredictability, and which are the core drives most linked to creativity, self-expression, and sociability. These are the typical qualities of the right hemisphere of our brain. One of the cornerstones of game design is the MDA model. It derives from a paper published in 2004, whose authors are Unique, LeBlanc, Zubeck. It is an interpretative framework intended both to analyze the games and to design them so that they correspond to the desired purpose. The acronym MDA dissolves into mechanics, dynamics, aesthetics, which are the three layers into which a game can be broken down. Each layer is firmly interconnected with the others. The taxonomy of aesthetics proposed by the authors is as follows: sensation, the game seen as a pleasure for the senses; fantasy, the game seen as a moment in which you immerse yourself in imagination; narrative, the game seen as a unraveling of a story; and challenge, the game seen as a part of challenges to overcome; fellowship, play as a social context; discovery, the game seen as an experience of discovery; expression, the game seen as a moment of self expression; and finally, submission, the game seen as a pastime. The main game mechanics are: first, points and credits points, as a rewards system that gives instant gratification for actions performed in the game. It is a very effective tool for engaging and motivating the player. Levels. The system of levels introduces progressive goals to be reached endings, as we have seen, on a common motivation for all human beings. It is a component that crosses the various games. Challenges and missions are tasks that are entrusted to the player to complete them. These are tests to be faced in order to show themselves up to the task and to achieve the desired result. Badges. The badges are the virtual counterparts of the Boy Scout or military badges and perform precisely the same function. For example, they are equivalent to badges pinned clearly on the uniform. Leaderboards. The extraordinary leverage behind this mechanic is competition. The ranking, in fact, to provide a comparison between the performances of the players and which naturally stimulates the desire to appear winning. Virtual goods are objects that have a value within the game world. There are all the times and with disparate functions. Dynamics. The dynamics are considered here as the most abstract aspects of the system, and as such, they do not enter directly in the gamified system, but rather serve to set it. They include constraints and limitations, emotions, curiosity, competitiveness, frustration, happiness, etc. Narrative, the development of the plot; progression, the development and growth of the player; relationality, social interactions; altruism, status, etc. Some application sectors. What are? But to which sector can gamification be applied? The fields of application are and innovative ideas are potentially infinite. Gamification has shown impressive versatility. Marketing. Gamification and marketing can form an excellent partnership. Health and well-being. It is well known how adopting a healthy and sustainable lifestyles contributes to improving the well-being of individuals and the community. Boring routine, but good for health actions, could become simulating to do alone or even throughout challenges with friends. Eco-sustainability, encouraging separate collection, recycling of materials, avoiding unnecessary waste of an energy and water are essential objectives. Changing people's ecological behaviors is vital for the planet. Also, in this case, gamification can represent a valid support for the promotion of good practices. And for example, tourism and culture. Gamification can also facilitate the enhancement of tourism and cultural heritage. The advent of digital technology has profoundly transformed the ways of discovering, enjoying, and narrating the tourist and cultural experience. We think of applications like TripAdvisor, transportation. Gamification can also accompany us while we travel by reducing those elements of stress or anxiety. And training, last but not least, the training sector, which is one of the most involved in the gamification phenomenon. The mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled, as said Plutarch. Evaluation of the results. The figure shows the distribution of the studies based on the type of evaluation of the results reported on the gamification experiences. The evaluation of the results was divided into the following categories. Positive. Positive first impressions, where a positive but not adequately weighted judgment is expressed. Partial, for example, judgment reveals positive aspects but also reserves. Negative, and no evaluation because the results are not yet available. As can be seen in the figure, most of the studies report positive results with respect to experiences, participation, and an increase in the download of materials. Finally, also a positive opinion of the learners themselves regarding the gamified components considered as more motivating, interesting, and facilitating for learning compared to traditional methods. This is what gamification should be for, using for enormous power of the game as a lever to engage and motivate action, using everything we know about game design to transform our reality for the better. And here I show you a list of the advantages that gamification is able to bring. First, involvement is a priority purpose. The first reason why gamification is chosen as a methodology for some projects. It is also one of the best results when we activated, and it is easy to verify. Secondly, motivation is the lever on which to act, a powerful driving force, the other centrality of gamification. Acting on the motivation to push to implement desired behaviors is its driving force. Fun, as Werbach and Hunter advises, don't forget the fun ingredient. Associating the positive emotions with experiences leads to engaging with greater participation. Relevance. If the system manages to activate the above characteristics, it can lead to relevant experiences that have a profound impact on the people involved. Time. Time spent on exciting activities increases in proportion to the amount of involvement, participation, fun, and positive feelings experienced. Continuity. Furthermore, if a positive spiral is triggered, the results may last over time and show verifiable effects even in the long term. Virality. Gamified applications can encourage the sharing of specific activities and make people talk about themselves, creating a ripple effect that spreads life wildfire throughout word of mouth on social media, for example. And then collective intelligence. If the applications acquire a viral trend, they can be used to find solutions or solve problems in a participatory way with the content generated by the users themselves. Data collection. Gamification platforms are generally able to record other user activities, generating a large amount of data. And learning. Last but not least, gamification is in some way always a learning experience if it aims to affect personal change and behavior. The best applications could make this experience more exciting and engaging than the transmissive experience that are too often poorly motivating when not completely boring. And the game at school, finally. Throughout play, various fundamental components of learning are stimulated, which is why play has always been part of many educational activities, especially starting from early childhood. In fact, the game, throughout physical and mental stimulation, activates processes of understanding, helping to acquire disciplinary and social emotional knowledge. It causes pupils to have a different perception of the school, the teacher and their peers, and by improving the learning environment, it increases the pleasure of learning. It also becomes a tool for learning to learn. So, why more you grow, the less you play? Why at school, especially in the higher levels of education, do we think that what is fun cannot be useful for rigorous learning? Ask a few kids. The reason most don't like the school is not that the work is too hard, but that it's utterly boring. It is not coincidence that various studies and projects are being developed that link learning, research, and problem solving to play. Currently, at school in the field of digital teaching, two approaches to learning emerged that see the game as the protagonist, albeit with the substantial differences that must be defined and explained to allow a more informed didactic action. Digital becomes a useful space for teaching, learning, and for the creation of interactive narratives. In this rapidly evolving scenario, even the contexts of use of video games can be used, and in fact, they've been for some time not limited to entertainment, but thanks to the evident motivational potential also in teaching and training in general. In Italy, for example, the Ministry of Education has long been encouraging the use of gaming and gamification at school. An example is the National Digital School Plan, which supports the use of digital technologies, and the Digital School Award, which aims to promote innovative projects in the field of education, including the use of gaming and gamification, centered on students as subjects in continuous training, integrated multimedia culture with school and family culture throughout an education to with and for the media. And now let's speak about game-based learning and gamification. Many times, even in formal contexts, there is a tendency to unify concepts and methods simply because they belong to a similar area. This is a very frequent case of game-based learning, also said GBL, and gamification. The very fact that they are two different terms should suggest that they are useful for expressing the situation, procedures, and different purposes, but has a lack of direct experience, often lead us to use words without unfortunately having adequate awareness of them. However, since these are didactic areas strictly connected to training purposes, it is useful to clearly explain what GBL or game-based learning and gamification are, the radical differences that distinguish them, how and why to use them in the classroom in an active teaching integrated with the digital, useful for proposing authentic and motivating experiences. Let's speak about game-based learning, or GBL. Primary school English specialists trained in the 90s and now, unfortunately, on the verge of extinction, are very familiar with this learning strategy, which was the basis of many of the dynamic activity in the promoted in an activity project promoted for the acquisition of the English language for young learners. Back then, the GBL was totally analog. It often used the flashcards and props, but it already had, and very vivid, all the characteristics that make it an effective and extremely engaging strategy. GBL, if integrated with the digital game-based learning, is an educational strategy that uses the game to teach and specify a specific content or to achieve a certain learning outcome. Throughout play, the pupil acquires, strengthens, or enriches his knowledge. It is the game itself that trains the acquisition of the knowledge. The pupil, while playing, learns the knowledge object of the game. Game-based teaching uses disciplinary content and makes it challenging and fun. Use the game to provoke instant learning. Examples of web tools for digital game-based learning are Kahoot, Quizzes, Quizalize, Jeopardy, which, in addition to giving teachers the opportunity to build games and quizzes for pupils to play individually or in groups, thanks to various types of devices, also allow you to play games created by others and shared on their respective communities. Instead, gamification it is the application of playing mechanisms in non-play context to promote pro-social behaviors and lead to complex learning outcomes throughout traditional tasks. It is a lesser known methodology than GBL because it is demanding and structured, definitively more suitable for older students and able to use even elaborate strategies. At school, a class is gamified by making it work in cooperative groups whose members have different roles and powers. The children in groups live play the adventure, a mission that uses game strategies to carry out academic tasks and reach the achievement of a complex goal. Supporting and teaming up, the students carry out together or individually, teaching activities that usually have a challenging framework and a fantasy style setting, gradually reaching higher and higher levels until the mission is completed. In gamification, strategies and mechanisms typical of video games are also used to obtain academic and social learning. In summary, the GBL, game-based learning, causes learning by playing, helps to acquire knowledge and skills, especially of a disciplinary nature, has a short duration, from a few minutes to an hour, as a simple structure. It is limited to a single activity. It can be likened to any discipline using specific topics. Can be analogic or digital. It can also be integrated into classic class structure. Always as a winner who in the digital GBL is often single, is competitive and challenging. It can be used from 0 years to 99 years. It is fun. Instead, consumer gamification uses game mechanics in a non-game situation to induce learning and provoke positive group behaviors, integrates traditional learning objectives, promotes the acquisition of academic skills and the development of social emotional skills, uses complex themes which are diluted, developed and taken up in the game part, brings contents and related didactic activities, often of a traditional type, to the gamified part A, created by the teacher. As a long duration, even a few months, depending on the complexity of the topic, the intent of the teacher, and the age of the pupils involved. Provides an avatar for each participant, who usually has a well defined role and powers magician, leader, Amazon, healer, and so on. Uses levels, progress badges, prizes, and experience points, which replace votes during the gamified activities. Builds a new model of a classroom and learning environment. Simulates cooperation aimed at achieving a common goal. Its winning is a group, a team, which, in addition to having carried out the academic tasks with a greater completeness and diligence, has also been able to better manage roles and powers, supporting each other. It is more effective with the pupils over 10 years of age. It is engaging and challenging. The gamified class is generally managed digitally. A platform that allows the structuring and organization of an activity in gamification is Classcraft, for example, particularly suitable for first and second grade of secondary schools. In conclusion, GBL and gamification, although they have different characteristics, are extremely different implementation paths, are both oriented by a similar principle to make learning more engaging, fun, and competitive. They are very effective strategies, and for this reason, they are also used in the world of work to increase productivity and commitment. Another thing is that the playful activities, which in the digital environment are well implemented thanks to web tools such as learning apps, Word World, and others, useful tools for learning, but not to be confused with GBL and gamification. In general, increasing methodological didactic awareness using the right terminology, understanding the mechanisms, that help generate learning. Trying to get involved and experimenting with the new ways to learn is a must part of being teachers of the new millennium. And I want to speak to you about an interesting tool that I often use in my classrooms to engage my students. Kahoot. A formative assessment is extremely important in any classroom. Teachers can create gamified formative assessment activities for their students using a Kahoot and assign these activities as a homework, which allows the students to play the games individually. Kahoot activities can also be used as a whole class formative assessment. Students enjoy Kahoot because of the gamified component of the activity. How does Kahoot works? At its most basic, Kahoot offers a question and then optional multiple choice answers. This can be accompanied with rich media such as images and videos to add more interactivity. While Kahoot can be used in the classroom, it's ideal for remote learning use. I used it very often during the pandemic period. And it's possible for teachers to set a quiz and wait to see the scores as students complete it. Or they can carry out a live hosted Kahoot using video with third-party apps such as Zoom or Meet to be there are students and are working throughout the challenges. While there is a timer-based quiz mode, you can also choose to turn that off. In that instance, it's possible to set more complex tasks that require research time. Teachers can also review results and run analytics from game reports for formative assessments so as to better judge progress being made in the class. To get started, head to getkahoot.com and sign up for a free account. Select Sign Up, then pick Teacher, followed by your institution, be it school, higher education, or school administration. You are then able to register using your email and a password or with a Google or Microsoft account. Ideal if your school already uses Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams. Once you are signed up, you can get started making your own quiz or using one of the many options already created from others. Or go for a bit or both, building a new quiz but using the 500,000 questions options already available on Kahoot. Since Kahoot is online based, it will work across most devices, including laptops, tablets, smartphones, Chromebooks, and desktop machines. It runs online in a browser window as well as in app form with iOS and Android versions available. Kahoot works with Microsoft Teams, allowing teachers to share challenges more easily. In the premium or pro versions, this provides more options, such as the ability to co-create Kahoots with colleagues. And what are the best Kahoot features? Ghost. Ghost is a great feature that allows students to play against their own previous high scores, making a game out of improving performance. This allows for going over quiz more than once, helping to make sure information sinks in at a deeper level. Analysis. Improve each student's understanding by using the analytics of results to see which student has struggled and with what, so you can help them in that area. Copy. They take advantage of the wealth of quizzes created by other educators and already available on Kahoot, which are available to use freely. You can even combine multiple Kahoots for an ultimate quiz. Assess the students first. A Kahoot quiz can be a great way to check students' knowledge before you start teaching a subject to help avoid making it too simplistic or too complicated for the class. Use media. Adding videos right from YouTube very easily. This is a great way to have students watch and learn, knowing they are going to be questioned after the video ends. You can also add images, and in the case of the iOS app, you your own drawing. And I want to speak to you about another app very useful for gamification and game-based learning. Learning apps is a versatile tool for learners, teachers, and teacher trainers who want to use or create a variety of different activities to practice all the topics for all the subjects of use study at school. LearningApps.org is very easy to use with a walk throughout tutorial on the home page explaining all the features. You can create your own activities from scratch using one of the templates provided, or you can adapt activities already created. Enter a keyword or choose a category to explore, and when you find an activity you like, you can create a similar app with your own ideas and then share it with your learners. Practice tasks can be made in minutes, in a few minutes, and you can use them again by saving them in your account. Creating an account is free, and there is a great social interaction. Tasks can be completed individually and then shared on there can be done in pairs or groups in class or at home. Some learning apps activities also have chat boxes where learners and teachers can add comments during games, and there are some more sophisticated competitive tasks which learners can play in groups to compete with each other, as well as interacting with each other to do the activities. Learners enjoy working with each other to create activities for their classmates to do. They can collaborate on choosing a task type, finding suitable materials, and thinking of its feedbacks. For learners can choose from a wide variety of activities to practice and learn across the full range of systems and skills. They can work at their own pace. They can work individually or in groups. They can get more practice of language learned in class. Learners can create their own practice activities using one of the ready-made tasks and as an example. And for teachers have access to many activities prepared by other teachers on a wide range of topic and language areas. Teachers can use a learning app activity in class, or learners can copy the whole and do the activity at home. Teachers can make their lessons more learner-centered by getting learners to make their own task to share with others. The tool is very easy for teachers to use, and it is easy to create tasks of your own. Teachers can use video, audio, and reading texts when creating tasks. And now I want to speak to you about a great tool, a great activity for gamification and game-based learning. Escape rooms or escape games, breakout boxes are a recent entertainment phenomenon that became popular and now can be found in many cities around the world. Typically, an escape room will be played by a small team, usually 4 to 8 of people over the course of and who will be locked in practice. Physically, they are seldom physically locked in a physical room and have to solve puzzles within the time limit in order to escape. In fact, for definition, escape rooms are cooperative games in which players must find clues, solve puzzles, and perform a variety of tasks within a limited time. The goal is usually to escape or leave a room, the place or environment. When escape rooms have a pedagogical purpose, they are usually called edu escape rooms and can be related to gamification and game-based learning. The potential for student engagement and motivation is one of the main advantages of edu escape rooms. The game will take place within some overarching narrative with a core goal. For example, to escape from the mad scientist's lab with the secret formula, defuse the bomb and save the world, or escape from the pharaoh's tomb with the treasure. This narrative will influence the way in which the room is set and dressed, as well as the types of puzzles they are within. And then escape rooms and education. Since escape rooms have become an increasingly popular leisure activity, educators have quickly seen the potential for learning. Escape educational rooms in the USA was one of the first educational escape room developers, focusing on maths and science games in high schools. Then edu escape rooms became popular in Canada, in UK, Spain, and Germany, and then in all over the world. Creating a good educational escape room is not easy, but involves getting the right combination of fun and playability coupled with the intended learning outcomes embedded in a way that is seamless and doesn't detract from the gameplay. It is this balance of fun and learning that is crucial to the design of an effective educational game and can only be achieved by designers who have the right mix of educational and game design skills and time devoted to prototyping and testing. Escape games can be created by anyone with great imagination. A escape room concept and design characteristics. A wide range of scenarios for educational escape rooms is possible. Players need to transfer from their real life context into the game context, such as a crime scene or a submarine in the past. Therefore, the immersion of players during the gameplay is very important. In educational games, it is used to get a learner engaged, solving challenges and finishing the tasks. To design an escape room, you have to provide instructions first, then you have to get stuck, then solve puzzles so you can run away from the room and finally celebrate victory. And within escape room literature, all activities are called puzzles, and they use is a simple game loop, a challenge, a solution, and a reward. For example, a code for a lock or information needed in the next puzzle. Puzzles can be structured in escape rooms in this way. Basic structures, open, sequential, and path-based. A complex hybrid structure, such as a pyramid. Squares are puzzles and rectangles are meta-puzzles. Cognitive puzzles that make use of the player's thinking skills and logic. Physical puzzles that require the manipulation of artifacts to overcome a challenge, such as crawling throughout a laser maze, and meta puzzles, the last puzzle in the game in which the final code or solution is derived from the results from the previous puzzles. Cognitive puzzles seems to be predominant in escape rooms, as said Nicholson in 2015. Identified the four ways of organizing the puzzles. As you can see in this figure, in an open structure, the players can solve different puzzles at the same time. Other puzzles need to be solved before the last one. The sequential structure presents this puzzle one after another. Solving a puzzle unlocks the next until the meta puzzle can be solved. The path-based structure consists of several path puzzles. Combining some of the basic structures produces a complex hybrid structure, which make it take place, for example, the structure, the form of a pyramid. To solve the puzzles, players require skills such as researching, observation, correlation, memorization, reasoning, math, reading, and pattern recognition. After the gameplay, the game master debriefs the players on the process and the way they have achieved the skills required a reflection about what is accomplished, hint at the idea that educational escape rooms can be used in education. What is the teacher's role? Teachers are crucial in the learning process, also in collaborative learning. When to interrupt in students' collaboration and what to address its challenges for teachers. In the studies, we have seen that the teachers have a role at the introduction of the game, during and after gameplay. In introduction, players are introduced to game rules such as the use of mobile phones, the rule of collaboration, and less often the learning goals. Movies, emails, audio tapes, or information sheets were also used instead of oral instructions. During the gameplay, different aspects of the role of teachers and staff can be distinguished. First, monitoring. Second, guiding. Third, providing hints. And then, debriefing. Why escape rooms are effective for learning? There are a number of pedagogic reasons why playing educational escape games offers a valid and engaging approach to learning. The following are reasons connected to the development of so-called transversal of soft skills. Social skills. Escape rooms offer the opportunities for groups of students to work together to solve puzzles. Good escape rooms are designed in such a way that they cannot solve it by alone. But for example, they need two people in different spaces to solve a code, so that the players have to communicate and collaborate in order to solve the puzzles. Then problem solving. Escape rooms present a variety of different types of puzzles, from codes and ciphers and traditional puzzles to finding or manipulating objects and complex digital puzzles. Players are presented with a variety of problems that they have to solve. Players also develop resilience as they make multiple attempts to solve puzzles in different ways and creativity as they come up with different novel solutions. And the lateral thinking. Many of the problems and puzzles that players face in escape rooms require them to think differently from their usual mindset and combine objects and ideas in novel ways. This type of thinking is an important underpinning of creativity and innovation. And time management is also at stake at time-based change. To, Together with the collaboration, this can promote overall personal resource management and engagement. The very fact of playing an exciting time-dependent immersive game may be engaging for many. And my speech is ended. And I thank you all for listening to me. I hope this speech you found my speech interesting. I love these two method teaching methodology, and I use it very often in my lessons because I teach mathematics, and mathematics is always is very often boring for students and very difficult subject for many students, also for adults. Many adults have a fear of mathematics.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof, for such a wonderful presentation and such a powerful content you have shared with all of us from around the globe. I was really enjoying this session, the way you just started it and you just shared that it's the human nature. And we like to have a kind of where we can play, we can be socialize, and through this way we enjoy it and then we get involved to it. And very nicely you have incorporated the role of the motivation in it, that how can we be motivated. Then very nicely you talked about the sources of the gamification, and it finds its roots even in the archaeological context as well, and before Christ even. Very nicely you have talked about the different model and the some of the application in which industries and how it is going to impact us. I love the way you talked and you incorporated the sustainable development goals, which are very important. And now a lot of countries, particularly the different organizations, they are implementing the SDGs, particularly the four, which is relevant to the quality of education. But at the same time, a lot of SDG goals which are related to the environmental and sustainability. A lot of education researchers, particularly, they have focused on sustainability as well. How can we promote the pro-environmental behavior and all these things. So we had a blend of all these things, that you have incorporated the SDGs, the gamification, and then the teacher's role in that. How can teachers play important role and very crucial role in the gamification. And I like the way you just talked about the uh, how can we be more involved and we don't feel the boredom because of that thing. And particularly for mathematics and we have seen and we have the empirical evidences from the different fields and disciplines across that we found that whenever there is a kind of gamification, so the student they perform very well because they are more engaged and they try to strategize different things, and then they will come up with the different solution alternatives, and they think they have the liberty and empowerment to make certain decisions and to come up with the curiosity. So I think these are the different things which you have linked very nicely, and I believe that these are the things which needs to be considered and incorporated in a very well manner. It will definitely contribute because it's part of the human nature, and if we go with the nature, so definitely it will benefit us. So thank you very much for such a wonderful explanation. I really enjoyed this one, and there are a couple of questions which are waiting for your further illustration as well. So if you allow me, should we start with the first question, please? Yeah. Okay. They want to ask, Prof, thank you very much for such a great presentation. We enjoyed it thoroughly. My question to you, Prof, is that since you are the expert, please tell us regarding the successful implementation of the gamification. Just tell us that do we have the particular subject where the gamification or the game-based learning remains successful, or it can be successful at any level of education, schooling, college, or university level, or across the discipline, it will remain the same. What is your opinion on that? Yes, please.
Gamification game-based learning, first of all, were used only in primary schools, but they are very useful also in high schools. In fact, I teach in high school. My students' age goes from 14 to 19, and I use it every day in my lessons, or with the Kahoot, or with an escape room, edu escape room. We create digital edu escape rooms, and we implement a lot of questions, riddles, quizzes about mathematics. And my students don't think that they are studying while they are playing. They are learning and they are answering to questions, thinking with a lateral thinking, with a different way of thinking, and they don't think, they don't understand that they are studying, but they enjoy why we have this kind of lesson. Just this during this moment, I go at school also on Saturday morning. I've been at school and we made a game with Kahoot about logarithmics and exponentials functions, and they enjoyed a lot with my Kahoot. With their devices, they answered to questions, and they didn't understand that they are studying. They thought that I was let them only playing, but they were repeating this topic. Okay.
Wow, very nice, Prof. Thank you very much for such an elaborative answer. And now we have another very interesting question, and they want to ask your strategies which you implement in your class. They want to ask that, Prof, thank you. Please just share what kind of different educational games available. There are certain games which are serious, which are simulation based. What kind of game is available in your field, and how do you design learning objectives with gamification? Please explain to us. Thank you.
What tools do I use for gamification?
Yeah. They want to ask that how do you design the learning objectives with the different kinds of, types of games. For example, there are some serious games and there
Uh,
are some simulation
I use
games.
a lot of digital tools, digital
Oh,
platforms to create my games. For example, I explained you about, spoke you about Kahoot learning apps, but you can use also quizzes, but you can implement all in an edu escape room using Genially. that it's a platform very versatile, in which you can add a lot of riddles, puzzles, and questions created with a different tools. You can use add a puzzle with a quiz, with a video with the quizzes inserted in, and you can implement all in a Genially. Do you know this platform? Genially, I created an escape room. I wanted to show you during my speech, but time is ended, and next time I will show you how does it work, how does works Genially with an escape room. It's a complete way to use gamification game-based learning. Okay, that's all. Okay, that's all.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prof. Yeah, thank you. Prof, that leads me to the another question again, which is very important, and they want to ask that Prof would like to explain us that how do the educators they ensure the integration of gamification, and do we have the universal instructional design principles, or we have to design the instructional design principle for our class? Yes, please.
We design the gamification at the beginning of the year. We all the teachers, with all our teachers in our classroom, we decide how to create a path in which we focus on a particular goal of Agenda 2030, and we organize a game in which we introduce a topic about, for example, chemistry, and then we create a game about this argument, climate change, and we add questions in a Kahoot. Then about biology, we speak about another subject, another topic related to a goal of Agenda 2030 agenda, and then we create another game, and we all teachers meet every month to design these pattern, these events about gamification with focusing on a particular goal of a 2030 agenda. All
Yeah.
together. We
Thank
call
you very
it
much.
computo di realtà. Reality.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Prof. And one very interesting question now they have posted that, Prof, please share your personal experiences that what are the potential challenges you face or you facing today even regarding the gamification. So they are asking for your personal experiences regarding the challenges associated with the gamification in classroom. Yes, please.
Yes, as a famous Hungarian psychologist said that the player's experience is a sort of rapture. The psychologist in this regard speaks that of a flow experience, an optimal experience in which the subject is totally absorbed in the activity is carrying out with the pleasure. Pleasure is very important, engaging, motivation, the conditions that to make a flow possible are a possible task to be completed, controllable, with a clear goal and an immediate feedback. Students want an immediate feedback and a gratification from the game. And when there is too great a difference between the mission and the actual subject abilities, individuals feel anger, frustration, and anxiety. Inevitable departure from the challenge follows. From the optimal experience to take place, that it is necessary to regulate the procession in an ascending climax, capable of deeply involving the students. We have to take away anxiety and anger. They must be excited, engaged, motivated, and it is a great clean, a serene we have in the classroom when we play all together, in group or alone, in small groups, in teams, or every student alone. And there is a great pleasure at the end of the game in the classroom. We are very happy at the end. That learning it's a very relaxing for them.
True, very true. Thank you very much, Prof. And one last question because of the time limitation. So
Yes.
they want to ask Prof that how do you see the future of gamification in terms of AI because of the artificial intelligence and advancement in the technology. So how do you see the future since you have almost 3 decades in the education sector now? So where the future lies? Yes, please.
Yes, after the pandemic period, we use more often gamification in game-based learning because we use much more often digital tools and digital. We are often online. We have always very often have lessons online, so we can use digital tools, digital platforms, and so digital games. Edu escape rooms, for example, are digital games and are created from students, from teachers. And the future is a large, the gamification, it will be more, will increase more during the next years. I'm trying to explain these teaching methodology to all my colleagues in my schools, in other in other speeches and in other sessions online, because it is a very engaging and very interesting, and it can be connected, strictly connected with the artificial intelligence that we have also to study, because we are at the beginning, but we have it is very useful. Some colleagues told me that it is very useful for gamification, artificial intelligence, the use of artificial intelligence. And in my school, we are studying about how to implement it in our teaching methodologies with the gamification. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And this is what we are doing as well, because we have to integrate with the latest technology and we have to take advantage of the technological advancement. And once we know how to integrate it very well, so we can take advantage out of it. And no doubt, artificial intelligence is helping a lot. It's the double-edged sword. So I think we should be more focusing on the positive side of the AI and the technology. That how can we further boost the students' creativity and their skills, knowledge. That how can it be the technological aspect can be helpful for the students to become more good what they are doing. So thank you very much once again for such a wonderful question answer session as well. As it was expected that you will be delivering a wonderful presentation and content, and you did it, and followed by the wonderful question and answer session as well. Prof, at the end of the session, we ask our each guest regarding their message to the world. So now, what is your message to the world as a speaker, author, teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, educator, and learner, please? Yes.
My my message is always the same. The message of Nelson Mandela: education
Wow.
is the most powerful. Uh,
Most powerful tool to change the nations.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I
Yes.
always use this thing because education is very important for
Exactly.
let growing new generations. Thank you.
Yes, true. I just rephrased what he has said, but the way he wanted to convey his message was that education is the right tool to change the world in a
The
better
world.
way. And I
Yes.
think we are contributing in that aspect as well, that we are here to guide the people. We are learning and we want to uh, teach the other people, and we want to share what we have learned, and we are sharing because together we grow, and we believe in a philosophy that when knowledge is shared, it will grow. So definitely we can change the world through the education.
I am a teacher. This is my mission.
Yeah, thank you very much. And please keep it up the way you are doing. We are proud of you. And may God bless you. And what you are doing is fantastic. Please keep it up, keep contributing, because this is the way you are doing wonderful. And this is the way we want you to do more and have a wonderful contribution in future too. So, to the audience, that please do follow our distinguished guest speaker to her research work, and you can email her for future learning and guidance. She is very generous and always ready to help the people. Moreover, wonderful content and powerful explanation, which the great speaker has already elaborated, will help you to learn and develop your understanding regarding the gamification. So, take advantage of all information, important tips, and suggestions shared by an expert. So that's all we have time for today. And thank you once again, Prof. Melissa Esposito. And
Yes.
also, I would like to thank our audience who join us. If you have any additional question about information shared today, please email us or connect to the speaker directly. Thank you all for your support and liking our session. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session until next session.